Welcome, everybody, to Onset Communications' third webinar in a series of 4. Our focus for today will be on evaluation and how the Onset Assistant helps to streamline the collaboration process between film crew members, i.e. to communicate, collaborate, evaluate, to decide. My name is Daniel Lazarados, and I'll be your host in today's session. And today I'm joined by Onset CEO, Brian Sharp. Brian has over 30 years experience working in both film and TV productions, and he founded Onset Communication to help solve communication and collaboration issues that he experienced while he was on set during productions. For the people that didn't see our first two seminars, we have a couple of review items from last time. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be using today. The Onset system used for our demo is comprised of the following 3 components. The first is the base station, where you can connect up to 4 camera feeds. The second is the tablet, that includes a custom case and an ergonomic handle and an external battery that lasts all day long. Then finally, the Onset Assistant app. This is the app that's running on the tablet that makes the whole thing work. All right, the Onset demo will be followed by a question and answer period. However, keep in mind that this is an interactive session, so please feel free to submit your questions as you think of them in the public chat feature, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. So with that out of the way, let me hand this over to Brian now. Brian, it's your show.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. Let me start off with a quick poll to see if this experience rings true for you. It's going to appear on the bottom of the screen. As part of your creative job, how often do you have to evaluate your work before rolling on the shot or before you can confidently move on to the next setup? I'll give you a couple of examples. A director is looking at performance, storytelling, and asking themselves, will this cut together well? A DP is constantly looking at the lighting, shadows, framing. Does this look great? A script supervisor is looking at the line reads. Did we get everything we need? Is the continuity correct and consistent? First AD is often looking at a little bit of everything to avoid reshooting and unnecessary retakes to keep the day moving along. And a video assist operator has to make sure the clip they recorded is saved in a way that they can find easy and maybe have to add notes to it, to that clip that might be relevant later. Okay, thanks. Yeah, your experience matches mine, which is basically every setup. For myself, as a director of photography, I am evaluating my work constantly and ongoing throughout the process, and it's exhausting to keep it all in my head. I'm just getting exhausted thinking about it now. So what I'm going to do now is demo for you our system, our solution, and how we use it to evaluate your work throughout your day, and how you can also evaluate other crew members' work depending on the role you have in production. So let's take, for instance, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to screen share our app, which is running on a tablet sitting on the desk next to me. And it is connected to 2 cameras in the office. And you can see that it's live. There's my hand. And so, for instance, as an operator, what I'll want to do is record a clip and then be able to find it very quickly and play it back for a director at a later date, or maybe even right away. So how this is relevant is the slate information is the way we organize everything in the database so it's easy to find later. And this is relevant to everyone's job position, whether they're grabbing still frames for themselves or asking for playback of a particular clip from earlier in the shoot. So go to the slate, you enter the metadata that represents that clip, scene shot take information, for instance. You can identify the day of the shoot, the episode number, even the roll number. When I start recording, it's now recording 2 clips simultaneously. So this A/B camera setup, whatever's connected to the system, is recording at the same time in sync with each other. And everybody can be looking at this in real time in different channels, which you can see down here. There are 12 channels to choose from. Channel 5 is where the recording is happening. When I stop the recording, I get some options right away. And again, this might be relevant to finding the clip later. You can change the metadata. You can add text notes in a text field. And if you happen to overhear the director or whatever saying this is a circle take, you can mark it right away. And that'll help you find it later much quicker. And if they ask for playback immediately, it's right at your fingertips. You can just go to the latest thing recorded. I am now playing back the clip we just recorded. And it's that easy to do. We take a different job, like the DP job that I'm usually on set doing. I might have a setup, for instance, in an office. Let's pull up an example here of something that was shot a while ago. I'm pulling up a reference clip. And I remember the setup, but I don't remember exactly how I lit it. And I want to remember exactly how I lit it. So what I did in this particular case is I also made a little diagram for myself earlier to tell me more or less how I lit it. So that's where the actor was sitting. And these were my more or less camera positions that I was using at the time. And I can see what basic lighting I did for that shot. So I don't have to remember that all in my head. It's in an easy place to see. But also the gaffer can see that too. And they can start their process without even asking me a question about it. Going, you want to match like the last time? Yeah. And we're carrying on without a lot of conversation about it, but with solid reference. And then within the larger library, the context of the larger library, I can search for all kinds of things. So, for instance, I'll just back up here a bit. Let's say I want to look for a particular thing. I want to look for only the circle take of something. And in this case, I'm looking for a still frame that I marked up. And I get to it as quickly as possible just by filtering things on the right side of the screen there. I can filter by episode, scene, shot, all the way down to the take to get exactly what I'm looking for. And I can also filter out different types of clips. So I pull up this one. It's a still frame that I'm going to load in a channel. And in this particular case, let's say I'm on set or I'm near set, and I'm picking out the right outfit for the actress, and I'm a little confused as the wardrobe costume person, which one is the right one? This is for scene 32. We're not shooting scene 32 right now. And I can pull that up in a frame and ask the head of wardrobe which one is the right one, and they might come back and say yes, or they might come back and go, no, this is the right one. And there's no ambiguity about that. It's like it's visually correct. And in the same token, you might say on the fly, you're taking notes, and you're like, okay, well, so in this previous scene, the actor removed this from the shot, filled his coffee cup up, and left it on the table. Let's make sure it's not there when we do the turnaround on this. And so you're very easily evaluating the work that's about to be done and comparing it to previous work so that everyone's on the same page. So there's less chance of continuity problems, less chance of misunderstandings, just making your day go that much smoother. Dan, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. That was really instructive. Thank you, Brian. So let's open up the floor to questions. Just please feel free to message them in the chat forum. And we'll give you guys a minute or two.
In the meantime, while you're forming those questions, I'll just mention a couple other things. One of the neat features about our system is you can have these conversations, these visual conversations, in multiple channels. So right now there's 2 of us in channel 5. But if I go to channel 1 and I draw on the screen and communicate with somebody visually about that particular scenario where it's like, let's get rid of that, remove, that can be happening completely separately and silently while other conversations are going on in the real world, and you're not interrupting them. You're not talking over anyone. You're communicating just with your team about something that you need to get done.
Super. Thanks, Brian. We do have a question that just came in. And the question is, how many crew members can join a channel?
It's unlimited how many crew members can be in a single channel. So if it's a case where, let's say first AD says, okay, I want to show you what the blocking is going to be like. Everyone go to channel 1. So the whole crew could be in channel 1. Everyone that has one of our tablets can be in channel 1, and they could be reviewing that blocking, whether it's actually watching it on the screen, like from one of the camera positions, like a wider camera view, for instance, or they could football play it out and say, well, here's the set, there's the door coming in, and there's the other door. So actor A is going to come through this door and sit down in that chair over there in front of the desk, and actor B is going to come in and stand right there, for instance.
Very cool. We have another question. What's the range on your tablets?
The access points that broadcast to the tablets have a range of about 100 meters, and you can set up multiple access points. So what we found, especially in big spaces like studio spaces, where it's a big metal box, you put one access point in the middle, and it tends to bounce off all the walls and reach just about every corner of a large studio space, like a 50,000 square foot studio space. But can't go through the wall very well, so you set up and wire another access point outside, let's say near craft service, and you can still get a signal while you're outdoors.
Excellent. Does anybody else have any questions that you'd like to ask? Oh, here's a question for you, Brian. How many cameras can you actually feed into the system?
Our systems can do up to 4 cameras. The inputs are right on the patch bay there. This is a 2-camera unit that you're pointing at right over here. And on our 4-camera unit, there's just 2 more inputs. And you can also put audio signal in there as well, external audio.
Okay. I think the question is asking if you can use a decimator on that as well.
Yes, we've done that before with a 4-camera unit. Let's say with a 2 or 3-camera shoot, we have individual lines coming in to each camera, and then use a decimator to take the same signals and route into the 4th channel, for instance. And then you've got A, B, C split over here, and then when you get to D, which would appear up here along the top, that D channel would have a quad split of A camera, B camera, and C camera, for instance.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Feel free to ask more questions. We still have a couple of minutes. Oh, here's one. How many tablets can you have actually on one system?
You can have up to 20 tablets on one system Onset, and depending on the bandwidth of your internet connection, you can have tablets offset as well. The way that the tablets offset work is they have the same functionality. They're VPN'd into our box Onset directly. And so because of that, you need 5 megabits per second upload speeds per offset tablet. So the number of offsets is determined by the bandwidth you have available to you in terms of upload speeds from the location that you're shooting at.
Perfect. Thank you. And here we go. Here's one more question. How much storage does a server have?
Well, that's a good question. We can offer several solutions, but our basic package allows for 280 camera hours of footage, but we can put in enough storage to do up to 4,000 camera hours.
Okay. So for a typical shoot, how often would I have to upload off the server?
We haven't been on a shoot yet where you've had to, the only offloading is regular backups. If, for instance, post-production wants clips to work with as proxy files, that might happen daily at the end of each day. Otherwise, we haven't really reached a situation where people have need to wipe data to make room for data.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we're reaching the top of our 15 minutes. We'd like to thank you all for joining and participating in today's third in a series of 4 webinars. There will be an information package that will be sent to you with slides in the next hour. As well, I'd like to make sure that you join us for our final webinar in this series, which will be held on November 3rd. We'll focus on the decision-making process. Thank you for joining. Everyone have a great day.